I just heard from Wendy Williams, and what she has to say is absolutely insane. Is Wendy Williams being held against her will? Is she trapped? This isn't just rumors. It's coming straight from her. You won't believe the living situation she's in, the restrictions she's under. The level of control is absolutely insane. This is something that you need to hear. I'm going to tell you everything. The truth about Wendy Williams and her guardian, it is unbelievable. And this is not something you would have heard before. You won't believe it. People, we need to pay attention to this story. She says she needs help. I'm bringing you these details directly from Wendy. The secrets she is revealing are going to blow your mind. And the people who are responsible for this need to be exposed. She says she's in an old age home, not an apartment. She's being forced to take medications, cut off from her money. This is a celebrity living in what they call a prison.
Look, I'm isolated. I feel like I'm in prison. You understand?
She is desperate. She is isolated, her phone is controlled, all of her money is held hostage. This is not who we know Wendy Williams to be.
I can't go out. All I can do is look at the window.
This is the truth about Wendy Williams. You need to hear it and you need to watch this. Don Lemon began by explaining the circumstances that led to his interview with Wendy Williams. He mentioned that Wendy's niece, Alex, had reached out to him because Wendy had stopped responding to his calls. He then went on to say that, during the pandemic, Wendy had visited him twice during this period. He said that the first time she came, she opened up to him about how she had been pressured to go to a facility for alcoholism, though she didn't believe she had an issue. Then, she had decided to put a team together, and they were waiting for her in an office building in Midtown. Wendy had described how they would drive her from the facility to work and back again. She said that one day she jumped out of the car when they stopped at a red light and ran to her lawyers, even running into Al Roker, who asked her what was going on. Then, her lawyers helped her arrange to serve her husband with divorce papers by putting the papers in a Balenciaga box. Dawn explained that for some time now, he had been trying to reach Wendy and he had finally connected with her niece, who said that Wendy wanted to speak to him. It was also agreed that Wendy was going to speak to Charlemagne. The interview was scheduled for 7:30 a.m., but when Wendy didn't call, her niece got worried that her phone had been taken away. So Dawn starts off by telling us how he came to know Wendy, or rather how they became friendly. And let me emphasize, he said friendly, not necessarily friends. Remember that time Wendy was sick? When her show had a rotating cast of guest hosts? You know, people like Cherie Shepherd, Fat Joe, and so on. Well, Don Lemon was one of those guest hosts. The first time they asked Don to step in for Wendy, CNN approved. But then they came back a second time asking him to do it again, and CNN wasn't too thrilled. They told him, "This isn't part of your contract." But they still let him do it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Apparently, Don did such a good job that the production team wanted him to fill in for Wendy permanently until she could come back. But this time, CNN said, "Absolutely not. That's not in your contract." And just like that, it was off the table. Now, Don also mentioned something else. He runs a YouTube channel where he covers hot topics. He seems much happier now. He has full creative freedom. He gets to do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, and with whoever he wants. And let's not forget, he's already a big name because of his success at CNN. But before he started the Hot Topics segment on his channel, Don made it a point to pay respect to Wendy. After all, she's the one who made Hot Topics what it is. Since Cherie Shepherd had taken over Wendy's show, Don actually approached Cherie and asked her, "Hey, would it be okay if I use the name Hot Topics on my channel?" And Cherie said, "Go ahead, I'm not using it." That's how Don started incorporating Hot Topics into his content. Now, let me pause here for a second because this ties into something I mentioned in a video yesterday. I talked about Cherie Shepherd's show and how, let's be honest, it hasn't been great. The thing is, Cherie will always be compared to Wendy because she took over Wendy's time slot. And as long as that comparison exists, Cherie will always come up short. She's not even a second-class Wendy. She's more like a no-class Wendy. But let's move on. After I made that video, something kept nagging at me. Later, I found out Wendy had done interviews with Charlemagne and Don Lemon. I'm focusing on what she said with Don because, honestly, I haven't had time to look at the Charlemagne interview yet. So Dawn explained that Wendy and her then husband, Kevin Hunter, thanked him for stepping in during her absence. They even met up a few times to show their gratitude. That's probably how they exchanged numbers and started communicating. But then, something weird happened. Out of nowhere, Wendy stopped responding. Dawn tried calling her, nothing. It was like she had just vanished. And then, out of the blue, Wendy called Dawn one day. Her words? Dawn, I'm lonely. Naturally, Dawn was surprised. He asked, what's going on, Wendy? And that's when she told him her mother had passed away about 3 weeks before that call, and she was feeling really lonely. Now, this part really caught my attention. Where were her friends? Dawn mentioned that Wendy was separated from Kevin at the time, though he wasn't sure if the divorce was finalized. Obviously, Kevin wasn't in the picture. And Wendy hadn't yet told the world about her mom's passing. So Don, being the kind of guy he is, said, hey, I have a house in Long Island. Come over and spend time with us. Wendy actually took him up on that offer. And that's what I found so interesting. Here's Wendy, staying at Don's house, even though they weren't really friends. Just friendly. It made me wonder, where was her son during all of this? Couldn't she talk to him about how she was feeling? What about her other friends? What about that one friend who claimed she could see Wendy's bank statements and said she had over $50 million, only for Wendy's guardian to later say she was broke? I started thinking, do the people around Wendy just use her? Is that why she reached out to Dawn? Someone who clearly didn't need anything from her? Someone who has his own money and could offer her a genuine gesture? Because that's what Dawn did. He said, come to my house. It's comfortable, it's beautiful, and you can just get away for a while. Maybe that's what Wendy needed. Just a little escape. Or maybe she had already talked to her son or her close friends, but they didn't give her what she was looking for. Maybe she needed more. Maybe she needed love and attention in a way they couldn't provide. We don't really know, do we? Wendy's personality might just be too much for some people to handle. Anyway, so let's keep going.
I want to know if you think she sounds incapacitated, if you think she sounds like she has dementia, if you think she sounds lucid or together, I'm going to let you assess that. But here is my conversation with Wendy Williams.
The conversation begins with Wendy saying, hi, Dawn. This simple greeting is followed by Dawn's response, hi, Wendy. This seems like a normal start to a call, but immediately Wendy drops a bomb. Wendy immediately reveals the odd circumstances around her phone access. My phone is with the guardian person, she continues. This phone that I'm talking on is a phone where I could call you, but you can't call me.
Don, look, my phone is with the guardian person. You know what I'm saying? This phone that I'm talking on is a phone where I can call you, but you can't call me. I've never heard of a phone like this in my life.
It's really strange that Wendy can call Dawn, but Dawn cannot call her. It shows us that she's being monitored. She then adds, I've never heard of a phone like this in my life. This shows how abnormal and restrictive her current circumstances are. She adds, anyway, it's good to talk to you, which is almost like an effort to cover up what she's saying by quickly saying, it's good to talk to you. Dawn, probably sensing something off, replies, it's good to talk to you, trying to keep the tone normal, but then adds, they didn't take your phone after this interview you did with Charlemagne, did they?
They didn't take your phone after this interview you did with Charlemagne, did they?
It's like he's acknowledging that something might have happened, especially after a prior interview that she did. It shows he's aware that she's in some type of controlled environment. Wendy then responds, listen. Look, my life is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying. She sounds frustrated, right? I've been with this guardian person for 3 years, showing us that this isn't something that has just happened. She emphasizes for three years of my life, highlighting how long she's been in this situation.
Listen. Look, my life is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I've been with this guardian person for 3 years. For 3 years of my life.
This shows her frustration with the situation and makes it clear that this has been going on for quite some time. Wendy continues to describe her living situation, saying, look, I'm isolated. I feel like I'm in prison.
Look, I'm isolated. I feel like I'm in prison. You understand?
The words isolated and prison paint a very clear picture of her state of mind, unable to go out unless it's with the person assigned to her by the guardian. This underscores her complete loss of freedom, and it's very telling that she describes it as a prison, because she's essentially being held against her will. She says, I can't go out. All I can do is look at the window.
I can't go out. All I can do is look at the window. And anytime I go out, it's because I'm going out with the person that the guardian has assigned to me. So if I want to go out, for lunch, you know what I'm saying, then I have got to go with this woman. You know what I'm saying?
She is literally confined to her living space. She adds that anytime I go out, it's because I'm going out with the person that the guardian has assigned to me. This shows us that she has no control over her life and who she goes out with. So if I want to go out, for lunch. This illustrates how even the most basic activity like going for lunch is controlled by this guardian person. She continues, I've got to go with this woman, meaning the person that the guardian person assigned to her. She gives an example of her father's birthday. If I want to go out like my dad turns 94, I can't go.
You know what I'm saying? If I want to go out like my dad turned 94,
and you can't go.
That's very heartbreaking. She is being separated from her family. Dawn then attempts to change the subject and steer the conversation, saying, Wendy, let me ask you this. I heard the interview, and I want to cover some things that didn't happen in the interview. He's shifting the attention to what they haven't talked about. He tries to make it comfortable. Now, do you remember the last time that you were at the house and I'm just going to be honest, you took your wig off and we had a real heart-to-heart and I was like, here's the real Wendy. And I said, Wendy, would you ever go on without your wig and do a thing with me?
Now, do you remember the last time that you were at the house and I'm just going to be honest, you took your wig off and we had a real heart-to-heart and I was like, here's the real Wendy. And I said, Wendy, would you ever go on without your wig and do a thing with me? You said, no, because this is how people know me. So Wendy, I want to know what is going on with you? Why do you feel, do you feel desperate now that you're in a desperate situation? What's up?
He's trying to connect with her on a personal level, bringing up a time when they were relaxed, but he gets to the core of what people are wondering. So Wendy, I want to know what is going on with you? Why do you feel, do you feel desperate now that you're in a desperate situation? What's up? He's being very direct. And he's using that moment of intimacy to try to find out what's going on. Wendy, however, changes the subject. Well, first of all, about my actual hair, she says, my actual hair, is longer, but it's thin, and that's why I wear wigs.
Well, first of all, about my actual hair, is longer, but it's thin, and that's why I wear wigs, people.
It looks fine. Wendy, I said to you that you were beautiful, and I was like, this is the Wendy that people need to know. With your hair down. So talk to me. Okay. What's up?
She's deflecting. She also doesn't directly address the current desperate situation that Dawn mentioned. He reiterates what he said before, and he tries again to get an answer from her, but he is again being evaded. Wendy goes back to talking about the system. Okay, well, what's going on is I've been in the system, like I said, for 3 years. She continues. I am presently, right now, I'm in New York at this place, and it's not to say horrible things about older people. This part is important. She clarifies that it is not about older people, but about her situation specifically. It's just that the people that live here are in their 90s and their 80s and their 70s. And I don't know, maybe they're 60. Like me, I can't tell.
Presently right now, I'm in New York at this place, and it's not to say horrible things about older people. It's just that the people that live here are in their 90s and their 80s and their 70s. And I don't know, maybe they're 60 like me. I can't tell. People are in wheelchairs. Some people aren't in wheelchairs, but they walk very...
This is a sign that she doesn't want to be there. People are in wheelchairs. This really shows that the guardian has put her in a totally inappropriate environment.
Listen, clearly they are not of my sound mind and body. You understand what I'm saying?
This underscores how different she feels compared to everyone else. She doesn't belong there. She is telling us that her level of mental and physical capacity is different. Dawn then asks point blank,
Wendy, are you incapacitated?
It's a very direct question, and Wendy immediately responds,
hell fucking no.
She's offended by this. A strong statement in response to the legal claim that has taken away her autonomy. She then says, "Look, Alex, please address what has been going on with me." This is a cry for help as she feels like she's not able to explain it clearly, and she's asking her niece to do it. Dawn tries to clarify, saying, "Slow down, okay? Slow down, you. You don't believe you're incapacitated. The guardian has said you're incapacitated permanently and that you have dementia." Again, he's seeking to understand what the guardian's narrative is. Wendy responds, "Yes, and to know what, listen, and I don't know how much I can talk without being punished." At this point, Wendy becomes distressed, saying that she may be punished for speaking, and also saying that she may not be able to see her dad and be stuck in prison for life. She is clearly experiencing extreme distress because she is afraid of being punished. She is then worried that she might not be able to see her dad and that she will be stuck in this prison for the rest of her life, which means she feels absolutely hopeless about the situation.
Listen, and I don't know how much I can talk without being punished. You know what I'm saying? And I won't be able to see my dad, and I won't be able to, do anything, and I'll be stuck in this prison I'm in for the rest of my life. You understand what I'm saying?
That is so heartbreaking. This is like a prisoner who doesn't know what they're allowed to say or if they'll get in trouble for speaking the truth. Dawn, still trying to understand, says, "You feel like you're in a prison in an apartment in New York City?" He's trying to recap.
You feel like you're in a prison in an apartment in New York City.
But Wendy clarifies, "This is not an apartment. I don't even know what you call this place." She expresses a clear disconnect from what she's in. It's an old age home where people bring her pills. This illustrates the lack of autonomy, as she's being treated like someone who is incapable of caring for themselves. She emphasizes how her situation is not like the one that people assume.
This is not an apartment. I don't even know what you call this place. I don't even know what you call this place. This is an old age home in New York. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where people, bring you your pills, where people, the door is always, just knock on the door, I tell them. Don't just come in here. You understand what I'm saying? And all I have are the things that I have from storage, while my apartment has been sold, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all my clothing, I have a little bit of clothing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a drawer, there's a small closet, there's a big TV that through my money, the guardian person got me the TV that I want, you know what I'm saying?
Her privacy is being disrespected, and she has no control. She clarifies that everything she has is from storage because her apartment has been sold. That really shows that she doesn't have any control over her basic needs. She also clarifies that while she does have a TV, the guardian got it for her using her money. This really shows that she can't even control simple expenses. Dawn then asks how the guardian gained control. Wendy responds, "Well, first of all, she's making money from me." This directly points to the exploitative nature of her guardianship, where she feels the guardian is taking advantage of her. She then adds that this has been going on for 3 years. She once again asks her niece, Alex, to speak because Dawn does not understand. Alex explains that because of legal reasons, Wendy cannot fully talk about the situation, showing the restrictions imposed upon her. Wendy's family also fears her phones will be taken away, illustrating her limited communication with her family and loved ones. She is forced to use a landline that can only call out and no one can call in, showing the limited ability to communicate with others. Wendy then reveals that she orders food to eat in her bed because she doesn't want to eat with the other people in the facility. This really underscores her feelings of isolation. Dawn then comments that Wendy feels trapped. Wendy then says she only has $15 and that the guardian person is keeping her money trapped. Wendy then says, "All of the freedom that I want, you know what I'm saying." She can't even buy the simple things she wants, like going to Sephora. She then reveals that the guardian person will call ahead to a store to let them know that she's coming in. That means that she is not able to do anything on her own, and she is under constant surveillance. She can't go out and do something as simple as a trip to Sephora without having to go through the guardian. It's also clear that the guardian can't be trusted to be the person who helps Wendy, given the fact that the guardian is calling ahead. When asked if she wants to go back to work, Wendy replies, "Why not?" This illustrates that she wants her independence back and wants to be a productive member of society. Wendy also expresses that she doesn't want to work 5 days a week. She also adds that she wants to be able to pick and choose what kind of work she wants to do in Miami. This really shows how much control she wants over her life. When Don asks about her feelings when he asked her on a previous show, "Who is Wendy Williams right now?" she deflects, stating she has talked about it with Alex and can't discuss it now, since the interview is for the world to see. She then asks Alex to talk more. This may indicate that she wants to protect herself. When Dawn asks if she is on medication, Alex cuts in because the topic is sensitive. She explains that Wendy wants to speak, but she's worried about speaking too much, which would show the real situation she is experiencing. When Dawn assures Wendy that Alex has her back, Wendy responds, "If they take my phone, they will have telephone number to call you back on." This, again, shows the level of control and surveillance over her. She also mentions how her life is screwed up and she feels like she's being controlled, and she can't go out and do anything that she wants to do. She then feels that the only thing that she can do is keep herself of sound mind and body. She really feels that the world is trying to take away her identity. She also mentions that even if she has most of her clothing in storage, she still has her lipstick, illustrating her need to express her identity regardless of the limited options she has. Alex then states that Wendy is doing what she can do right now, so she's doing the best she can, and that she is doing a great job. She is providing her aunt with the emotional support she needs. Forget about the things she used to say during her show. That was her job to talk mess, okay? What it seems like, they're trying to get rid of Wendy. They're trying to delete Wendy so they can get a hold of her money. Now there are these stories being printed that her guardian is actually being sued for allegedly stealing $30 million from another client she was supposedly taking care of. Is this what they're trying to do to Wendy? Steal her money? And what is happening with Wendy's son, for heaven's sakes? He doesn't seem like he's fighting for his mother like other people are. This is your inheritance. I mean, you should love your mother more than your inheritance, but hey, if your mother is taken away, they're going to take her money too. We heard that Wendy is broke. How is Wendy broke? We need some of you investigative journalists or investigative bloggers to dig into this and follow the money. This is crazy. We have to demand answers. We have to demand action. Remember to subscribe to my channel as well. This is a developing story, and you'll want to be here as more information is revealed. This is about freedom. This is about justice. This is about Wendy Williams and her plea for help.